talk is based off of information from my book, which was originally my first day of class lecture at the college where I teach. Some of the other instructors asked me to come in and talk to their students about becoming a pen tester. So this is kind of where this all came about and how this talk got popular. There's a lot of different areas in security, but not everyone always shares the details on how to get in. There's always how-to guides and that sort of thing. So the goal with the talk was to show people how to get started in the field. So the agenda for this talk is I'm going to share my path into cybersecurity, how I got started as an ethical hacker, so you can kind of see what my background did to help me achieve that goal. Because when I started out, it was a field I knew nothing about. Ethical hacking and pen testing was very little, not much known about it at the time. There were those jobs, but you just really didn't hear much about it. We're going to discuss what ethical hacking is, ethical hacking jobs, starting a career as an ethical hacker, learning resources, and certificates and degrees. So we're getting some educational stuff here to show you how to become an ethical hacker. So I've spent, currently I'm an offensive security professional and educator, over 23 years in the field. I have my associate's degree, so to give you a little bit of my educational background, my associate's degree is in computer networking. And I have certifications, the OSCP and the SANS GWAPT certs, or pen testing or ethical hacking focused, while the CISSP is more general security. So just to share a little bit of education information with you so you get an idea of where I came from. So I started out as a system administrator back in '97 and moved into network security in 2004. Then in 2005, I moved on to the application security team. We had a new manager come in and kind of put us all doing different things. At first, everyone was doing the same thing. Everyone was doing network security. So they separate us into different functions. And this is where I found out about pen testing. And so in 2012, I got laid off from my job and I went to work as a pen tester consulting. And so that was a really good experience. So pen testing is also another term for ethical hacking. So you want to make sure you get permission to hack, and only hack if you have permission, even better, written permission. Hacking without permission is illegal. You know, make sure it's something you own or you've got permission to test that target. And so I like to share this quote that I originally heard from one of the Spider-Man movies, where Uncle Ben told Peter, with great power comes great responsibility. So these hacking skills, or anything, technical skills, use them responsibly. So what is ethical hacking? It's assessing security from an adversarial perspective, attempting to exploit vulnerabilities to gain unauthorized access to systems and sensitive data, also known as hacking. Penetration testing, or pen testing for short, is the professional term for ethical hacking. And ethical hacking is a type of security assessment. So there's other types, and we'll cover some of that, the different types of assessments. So ethical hacking is important because it assesses security from an adversarial perspective. It gives you a better understanding of the risk severity. So exploitable or hackable vulnerabilities are higher risk and higher priority for remediation, as well as justification for budget. Sometimes to fix security risks can be very expensive. It could require software, hardware, even new staff to be able to remediate those issues. And if it's low risk, companies sometimes will not remediate it, but they see if it's a high risk, then they will typically spend the money to get those remediated. So that's why assessing security from an adversary or a malicious attacker perspective is important. Kind of the mind of a cyber criminal or a nation state actor. So there's some different jobs out there that you can get as with ethical hacking skills: penetration tester or pen tester, social engineer, red team operator, bug bounty hunter, or security researcher. And so red team operator is a more advanced type of penetration tester or ethical hacker. This is where you're getting into more of emulating a real world attacker. And so this a lot of times entails trying to go undetected. So other skills that are helpful, other areas of these skills are helpful in, is a SOC analyst or network security analysts and engineers. So be able to identify malicious traffic will make them better at their job. So being a better attacker makes them a better defender. Digital forensics and incident response, be able to investigate breaches and that sort of thing. If you understand the attacks from the skills you gain from ethical hacking, it's going to make you better at investigating breaches. So purple team is kind of where the defenders and offensive team work together to improve the defenses. So the offensive team will execute tools on the network and on computers to see if they're detected. So they want to see if the software and the people are able to detect these type of activities. And if they're not, then work until it can be detected and how to block those things. So if you can block certain hacking tools from being ran on computers or the network, then you're going to help improve your security. Also, application security is an area that these skills are used at. And this is actually where I found out about pen testing or ethical hacking was from working in application security. So there's different types of targets, different things that need to be tested or assessed. So you have networks, and this is your wired networks or wireless networks, applications, anything from your web application, mobile apps, cloud applications, and just your executable or binary applications that you would run on your computer that's standalone that doesn't require the internet. And also your hardware. So network hardware like your routers and switches, Internet of Things, your home connected devices. Internet of Things are used to monitor devices like temperatures on refrigerators and even like vending machines. They can see how many sodas are left in the soda machine. If they need to be replaced, monitor the temperature. And then medical devices like your pacemakers or insulin pumps. These can be hacked, so they need to be secure. So this is where like your role of security researcher, they're typically testing these type of devices like your hardware devices. Transportation, this includes your cars, trucks, mass transit, like buses, trains, and airplanes. Those items can be hacked. So we need to make sure that those are secured to keep the people safe that are using those transportation methods. And then people buildings need to be secure. You can have the best security set up on your network, all of your computers, antivirus, and all that could be perfect. But if someone's able to sneak into the server room or get access to a computer, then they're going to have a lot easier chance of breaching the network or hacking into it. So it also goes for the buildings too. Someone's able to tailgate into the building without a badge, walk in behind someone, gain access. So your building security as well as your people security needs to be tested. So ethical hacking methodology. So there's a methodology to all this, and this is based off PTES, the penetration testing execution standard. And so just kind of the way a pen test is broken out, you have your pre-engagement interactions. So you're working with your customer, or if you're an internal pen tester or ethical hacker, you're working with internal contacts on the different IT teams and business groups to, base the goals, find the goals of the pen test, make sure that you're fulfilling those goals and taking care of the needs, laying down the groundwork of how the test's going to be performed. Sometimes, companies don't want their applications to be taken out of production by, maybe being scanned with these different vulnerability scanners. So sometimes this may require testing certain hours. So you want to lay out all the groundwork and the rules of engagement and how this test is going to be completed, and even payment terms and all that as far as the customer. So as a pen tester, you're not typically, you're on some of the calls to discuss the pen test. You may not get as deep in the pre-engagement interactions until you get more experience. But the areas you're really going to focus on as a pen tester is your intelligence gathering, threat modeling, vulnerability analysis, exploitation, post-exploitation, and reporting. So your intelligence gathering is you're collecting information on the items you're testing. So if you're doing social engineering, then you will go out to like social media and LinkedIn and look up information on the people in the company. You can learn about the technology they're using, what the people and their staff skill sets are, and build your pretext, your story on trying to communicate with them and get information out of them. So if this person works in HR, then you can try to say this is an HR related issue. IT's having problems with these systems. We need your help. So you're able to collect information on the systems you're testing too as well. So the more information you have on your target, the better idea you're going to have assessing the security and even hacking into that. So threat modeling, after you've done your intelligence gathering, ran some vulnerability scans, then you're able to look for different vulnerabilities that can possibly be exploited. And this goes into your vulnerability analysis. You take all the information collected and see what can be exploited. If there are anything that can be exploited, then you exploit. And exploitation is another term for hacking. And post-exploitation is what you can do after you've hacked in. So there may be one system you can get into, but you can't get any further, but you need to know that. And that's one of the benefits of ethical hacking. You want to see the impact. So if you can hack it, this one system, maybe you can gain access to the whole network or whole environment. So that's you're able to test during post-exploitation. See if you can go from a normal user to administrator through privilege escalation, or lateral movement is where you go from one system to another system at the same level of access. And then reporting is just reporting on your findings. So a good detailed report will help the companies realize their vulnerabilities and how to remediate those items. This is kind of just like a quick overview of methodology. And the methodology allows you to provide, significant testing and be able to replicate and provide the same quality over and over. And especially when you're working with multiple pen testers, you're making sure that you're providing a consistent product. The types of security assessment, like we mentioned, pen testing is a security assessment or ethical hacking. So you have vulnerability scans. So this is running like Nessus, Nexpose, OpenVAS, or Qualys. These are vulnerability scanners. You run these and they find vulnerabilities on those particular devices. And that's all that role does, or that function. So these are actual parts of a pen test and individual roles. And then vulnerability assessment is basically you take the vulnerability scans plus you're doing validation. You're making sure that these are accurate findings. Sometimes vulnerability scanners will find what's called false positives. It will see this vulnerable and maybe it's not. So you're going through making sure these vulnerabilities are accurate and not false positives, and using other tools outside of vulnerability scanners to find vulnerabilities. And so this next type of assessment is a pen test. So you're taking those other previous methods. We validated our vulnerabilities on the vulnerability assessment, and now we're going to see if we can hack into those through exploitation. So this is the actual pen test. And then to get a little more advanced, you have your red team operations or adversarial testing. So you're testing the defenders, you're doing attack simulation. It's less restrictive in scope, meaning you can use social engineering, physical building breach. You can actually try to break into the buildings to get access to resources and technologies. And so this is more of a specialized thing. You're trying to go undetected. You're trying to emulate like a nation state or different cyber criminals during this test, and you're trying to go undetected. So you don't announce to very many people that this is happening to see how they respond. You want to make sure that the defenders are detecting and blocking these activities. So starting a career as an ethical hacker. So you need the technology skills. So one of the ways to look at this is like if you were going to, college, or you're taking some courses in high school, you want like computer science related or like IT related education. So you need to understand the technology before you can protect it or break into it. So first you need to learn the technologies, and then you need to learn how to secure the technologies. Understanding how to secure technologies will make it easier to hack into those systems. So a good path here, you see these CompTIA certifications. These are certifications that you can gain that knowledge. So otherwise, you could use a lot of different books and resources trying to learn these, but like the CompTIA A+, you learn Windows, you learn Linux, you learn computer hardware, and they even include like hardware for mobile devices, which is an important area to be tested and secured. Then your networking skills, which you can learn this through the CompTIA Network Plus. And so you also need to learn security. So Security Plus is another option. And if you don't formally go through the certification process, there's books out there that you can find, as well as Professor Messer has online videos. So you can learn this. You don't necessarily have to get the certifications, but they can be helpful starting out. But Professor Messer offers videos on each one of these certifications so you can learn that technology. So once you learn that, then you get ready to learn the hacking piece. And then knowing how to code, learning how to do scripting in Python and programming. Some of the best hackers out there know how to write their own tools. And so hacking skills, once you have that technology down, that base and the security, you need to learn how to hack. And so you can develop these hacking skills through capture the flags, bug bounties, and then online hacking platforms like Hack the Box or Try Hack Me. These are really great ways to learn how to hack. And as a pen tester, you need to know how to hack. Whenever I started out, uh, I knew how to run vulnerability scanners. I had the IT background and security background, application security, but I didn't know how to hack. So I took the OSCP certification to get my hacking skills. So building a home lab, this is a good way to learn how to hack. You can download vulnerable VMs, which are virtual machines, and try to hack into those devices to build up your hacking skills. So here's some learning resources. These are categorized by paid and free resources. On the right-hand side, you see the Hack the Box, Try Hack Me. They offer free and paid. So it's in the free category. So there is a free option. So SANS Institute, they have some really good courses there. These courses are created by some of the best in the industry. These are people that work in consulting and people that actually write tools. So they're creating these courses. So that's a good place to learn. eLearn Security, which is now INE, Offensive Security, Pentester Academy, Pentester Lab, and the Cyber Mentor. He's a really great teacher. He's got some courses out there on his website, which can also be found on Udemy. These other free resources, you have resources from BugCrowd and HackerOne. They're trying to recruit bug hunters to their platform, so they offer some free learning opportunities on their sites through BugCrowd University and then Hacker 101. So SANS also has a great pen testing blog. This is a great resource for how to use different pen testing tools. So check that out. They have different cheat sheets, and SANS comes out with some really great posters on different types of topics, and not only pen testing that can be helpful, showing you different tools and techniques and resources. And hackingtutorials.org is another resource that has tutorials and resources on how to use different hacking tools. And then Web Security Academy, this one is a great resource for learning web app pen testing. OWASP, the Open Web Application Security Project, has different vulnerable applications that you can download. Some of them are online. You can practice hacking, as well as the OWASP Top 10 and the OWASP Testing Guide. And as mentioned, Hack the Box and Try Hack Me. These are really great resources to learn how to hack. Then you have Over the Wire CTF and Under the Wire CTF. Over the Wire CTF is more Linux focused, and Under the Wire CTF is more Windows focused. So you need to know how to use both Linux and Windows. And so those are great resources. So there's some books on the subjects, and I have these kind of listed in the order I would recommend. Uh, the pen testing book, Penetration Testing, a Hands-On Introduction to Hacking by Georgia Weidman. I used to use this for my course manual in class for the class I teach, but the Pentest Plus came out shortly after, and we changed the curriculum for students to be able to get a certification. So the Hackers Playbook 2 and 3, these are great to follow up. In that first book, they actually show you how to build labs. So that's a really great one to start out with. The Hacker Playbook 2 and 3, this helps you start to advance your skills a little bit more, learning more real world pen testing and ethical hacking techniques. And then the Web Application Hackers Handbook, this is a great book for learning web app pen testing. So certifications have these divided up by entry level, intermediate, advanced, and you're going to see three main vendors I've got listed here: eLearn Security or INE, SANS, Offensive Security. Then you have EC Council and CompTIA. So these entry level certifications, CEH and Pentest Plus, these are DoD certs. So companies that do business with the government, or actually people who work for the government, they look for these certifications. So there's sometimes a requirement for jobs. So having these certifications can help get your foot in the door. They're highly recognized by human resources. And then these other certifications, you have the e-learn security junior pen testing cert. This is a great one to get started. But then the intermediate and advanced certifications by SANS and offensive security and e-learn security. These are great resources. And certifications will help you get your foot in the door. And as you're getting started out, your degrees and certifications are going to be more important. And a lot of people ask me all the time, do I have to have a degree to be a pen tester or ethical hacker? You don't have to have a degree, but I would say, the next 5 years or so, they're going to start getting a little more picky about degrees. Currently, there's such a skill shortage in the industry that some companies that used to require 4-year degrees no longer have that requirement. But as soon as there's enough people in the field, then they'll go back to being more strict and require stuff like degrees. So the degrees that are helpful are your computer science, cybersecurity, software development, and information technology degrees. So these help build that base, that knowledge, that technology. In some of these college courses, you can take ethical hacking classes. But if you really want something that's focused a lot on ethical hacking related courses and pen testing, the SANS master's degree, they offer several different pen testing courses. So out of these, this is the one to get the most hands-on hacking experience. So takeaways from this. So learn technology, and you need to understand computers, networking, and coding. Learn to hack. So build these skills on CTFs, your online hacking platforms like Hack the Box, as well as building a home lab and bug bounties. Those are great ways to learn. So thanks. I appreciate everyone for attending my talk. And if we have any time for questions, I would be happy to answer those.
Thanks, Phil. It seems as if most of the questions which came in, you actually answered as you were going through the presentation. I think we also hit a few of them with some of the SANS guys too.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm just trying to see if there's anything which we haven't necessarily had answered already. The certifications. Sorry.
One of the things I'd like to explain to people too, ethical hacking seems really cool and it's kind of some spy looking type stuff, but there's a lot of other areas in security that are fun too. So I would say if you're considering this, if you're really passionate and want to do it, go for it, but also learn different cybersecurity skills, because there's like threat hunting and threat intelligence are really cool areas. Incident response, going and investigating the breaches, that's some really cool stuff.
Okay, so that actually answers one of the questions I was going to ask you anyway. So, I mean, yeah, the certifications which you mentioned, while a lot of them do have like a more of a central ethical hacking stance to them, obviously they can be used in other areas of cybersecurity too, right?
Yes. And these skills make you a better defender. So you get these certifications. It's, seeing certifications, one of the things it also does to employers, it shows that you're taking your education seriously, and so that's helpful. But yeah, these skills are helpful in other areas, just like, incident response. If you know understand these hacking techniques as well as working in a SOC, you're able to identify those things easier. So knowing both sides are great. Even if you decide you want to be an ethical hacker, then you really want to learn the defensive side too, because then you can help your customers defend against those attacks, help remediate against those.
Okay. There was a question here saying that all of the certifications they've seen seem to be 18 plus. Is there anything or any courses or certifications which younger people may be able to try and acquire?
I would look into the CompTIA related courses, because I think some high schools may offer some of the content, because I remember like, Microsoft and Cisco had some of their courses in schools, because some people were graduating with Cisco or Microsoft certifications and going into the field. And, CompTIA is really education oriented. And so I would look into the CompTIA related stuff.
Okay, thank you. And then in terms of ethical hacking obviously implies that you're doing things which are above board and everything else. Is there? I mean, there are obviously some legal things to try and, I guess, understand before you start doing this. What are some things which people should probably be wary of to avoid falling into any of those legal pitfalls?
Yeah, if you're, getting a job as a pen tester, then you make sure you're working through a reputable company. They're going to cover that for you. But if you're doing bug bounty, go through a bug bounty program, because that way you're kind of protected. Some people will just kind of go out and find bugs on their own, and it can kind of get them in trouble, because, the company that you find the bug for, they don't know if you're, we're just trying to hack them or what. So make sure you're going through a bug bounty program. Check out disclose.io. They have a lot of information on, protecting yourself as a bug hunter. But go through the reputable programs, and there's so many things out there you could practice on, like Hack the Box, Try Hack Me. These are non-production. You can do that without getting in trouble. Working through BugCrowd or HackerOne on their bug bounty platforms, you can do that and protect yourself. So you definitely do want to protect yourself, because if you get a criminal record, it makes it really hard to find a job. So, educate yourself about that. Go out to like BugCrowd's website, HackerOne, and then like the disclose.io, and then educate yourself on those things. And, some companies like Google and Apple, they offer bug bounties on their own. So make sure you read the rules about their bug bounties when you participate, even if you're on a approved bug bounty platform, approved bug bounty. Make sure you're looking at all the rules and you're staying within scope.
Okay, so you just touched on something in your answer that I just want to just kind of focus in on for a moment. So you said that if you get a criminal record, your opportunities may be a little bit more restricted. Now, I'm sure that everyone, or many people on this in this presentation have heard of situations where, someone has done some, or even in the movies, right? As Phil said earlier on, or as Rob said earlier on, where you see someone who does like this quote unquote hack, which gets a whole bunch of coverage and everything else. And then these people end up in companies where they do it for a living. Why is that not the best idea in order to advance your career? I mean, what are the consequences of doing it that way as opposed to doing it the quote unquote legitimate way?
You could get legal issues, and then someone just kind of question your ethics. So you want to make sure, because when you're dealing with security, you're bringing someone on your network to hack into it. They want to make sure they can trust you. And, you saw in the movies, and you hear people like Kevin Mitnick that started out as unethical hackers. They were doing stuff for fun and illegal, and they ended up getting hired because at one time we didn't have the resources like SANS to learn. We didn't have all these blogs and different resources, and that's how people got hired. Sometimes companies wouldn't file charges, or the government would hire someone instead of sending them to prison. And now, since you get people that can get that education and have more clear ethics, those are the people that are going to get hired over people with criminal intent.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time, Phil. Really appreciate it.